Hey everyone, I'm Andrew Warner, one of the judges at Twiistup, and I want you to meet this man because he'll be showing off at Twiistup. His name is Fred Nagohar, and the robot sitting next to him is called Tyler. And what the robot will allow you to do is be in two places at once. So for example, if you're in your Los Angeles office and still want to be a part of the conversation in your New York office, you send this robot into New York. It pretty much represents you. It allows you to listen in, allows you to talk, allows people to see you on that monitor up on top. And it's essentially like you're in the New York office. So I asked Fred, I said, Fred, tell me a little bit about this business. Tell me about why you created this robot. Here's his answer.
This allows you the freedom to feel like you're part of the team, even if you're a remote worker, whether you're a project manager, a product manager, or even a programmer that happens to be remote. This is the tool that brings you in that premise at your convenience.
So, allows you to be in two places at once. The next thing I asked him was, well, I noticed that he had a Porsche. And maybe it's a crass thing for me to do, but I said, you're running a startup. You're outside funded. How do you get this Porsche? And in the conversation, he tells me that in his past he was in real estate. He made money there, but he gave that business up for a risky startup. And I asked him why. I said, why would you give it up? Why would you give up that kind of security for something that's so risky? And here's his answer to that.
The focus is not so much the Porsche. The focus should be about passion. What do you want to do with your life? My choice was I can go down this route and be in real estate and do well, or I could build something, which is something I've always wanted to do. This is a childhood dream for me.
And that comes up a lot in this conversation, a childhood dream that he had to see through, and it's just about creating this product. And you see him in his office, he's tinkering with robots all day long. Next, I said, all right, so you've got this idea for a robot. How do you bring it to life? What's the first thing that you do? Well, the first thing was a prototype, and listen to what the prototype looked like.
And the first prototype was literally a toy we bought at Toys R Us.
Okay. We
hacked the toy. We had this PVC pipe that we bought from Home Depot, and we put a webcam on top. That was the first prototype.
I love that. How many times do you hear startups think about how the world's going to be different because of their company and how big their product needs to be, and they won't launch until it's absolutely perfect? Well, the first thing that he did was launch something that was as simple as a $300 robot. But it was the core idea and allowed him to experiment. All right. If I was a robot person, I'd ask him more questions about how he developed this robot. I'm not. I'm a business person. And so I kept asking him questions about how he bootstrapped. Here's a story about how he brought money in the early days. He did some contracting work. And I asked him about that.
Subsequently, we got approached by a bunch of companies as we became a bit more well-known and whatnot. And we actually started taking some contracts. So people came to us and said, we really like your technology, but it's not exactly applicable to what we're doing, but they like parts of it. So for example, somebody liked our software and said, we want to leverage your software, but can you make it work on our hardware?
I see. So now you're taking some contract work, and you're building them software, you're building pieces of...
So you can download or stream the full video and watch the rest of it. But what I want you to get away from that is how he brought in revenue by doing what he loved. Instead of looking for different ways to raise money, he looked for different ways to use the technology that he has to develop for others so that he can learn more about his technology and bring in revenue. All right. On the expense side, we also talked about how he was able to keep costs down, including how he got a booth at a trade show and, well, here.
There are always some things that you can bring to the table that they can.
For example,
the very first show that we went to was the very first robotics show in North America. Nobody had done a robot show before, outside of the academic fields. This was the first commercial robot show. But the interesting thing was, outside of iRobot, nobody had a robot to show that didn't require somebody pulling strings behind the curtain. We actually were one of the only two companies, one was public, iRobot, the other one was us little guys out of a garage, that had a 4-foot-tall robot that anybody could just go up to and interact with. Didn't require anybody pulling the strings, it was very easy to use. We had people to answer questions, but that was it. And I ended up spending more money on hotel and airfare than actually for the booth itself.
Gotcha. Because
I love that. So that's what we talked about, how he saved costs, more money on hotel and airfare than on the booth at the trade show, and there are lots of other examples of how he cut costs, lots of other examples of how he brought in revenue, how he kept his operation really tight until he was able to build out his dream. And if you come to Twiistup, you'll get to see it in person, you'll get to play with it, you'll get to talk to it, you'll get to operate it. And if you want to watch the rest of this video, as you can see, this is part of the longer interview that I did with him. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's available to you right on Twiistup. It's about 35 minutes. And I hope you watch it, but I also hope you come into Twiistup and see it all live. I'm Andrew Warner, and come see me live at Twiistup too.